starting now.
Hey, welcome to another exciting episode of Dentistry Gone Wild. And boy, are we excited to be here today with you. We have an amazing show in store for you. So listen, sit back. If you drive and sit up and pay attention,
Yes,
but enjoy this show today. We sure have a treat for you, don't we, Melissa?
we do. And if you're running or jogging, just keep going. You can do it. You can reach that runner's high, right? I'm not a runner, but I can imagine, like, just keep going. You can do it. So we are here another Monday. We're happy to be with you in this gorgeous summer that's happening right now, wherever you are in the States, in the world. Thank you for being here. And today we have the privilege of being with a new friend of ours. Her name is Dr. Amrita Patel, and she's doing amazing things in dentistry, and you'll see why we like her. So if you're not watching the video YouTube version of this, hop on over sometime. You can watch it after you listen to this. We have it there for you to view at your leisure, but you definitely need to join us and just hang out with us for a little bit. So Dr. Patel, thank you so much for being here.
I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I'll take my blue light blockers off. They usually live on top of my head to hold my hair back, which makes a lot of sense when I'm staring at the curing light. So we'll leave those off for now.
Do they work for curing lights? Do they?
They actually do.
Wow.
But it's funny. My girls all laugh at me because they're like, you forgot them on top of your head. They're so good at holding my hair.
They serve two purposes.
Exactly.
Great.
Holding this wind back and blocking the light. So,
and they're just super stylish, right?
Yeah, Amazon.
Oh, yes.
Really? And it's for the block the blue rays from the computer.
Yep. Yeah, I have like a rainbow assortment of colors because I got them all on Amazon. They're great.
Mm-hmm.
What are they called? Blue light blockers?
Yep, blue light blockers, and you can literally just search by color. And I search by pink because I'm a pink girl.
Ah, okay.
See, we love you already. Okay, so let's get down to business here. So this podcast is specifically about mobile dentistry and teledentistry. But if we back things up and look at the big picture of what Sonya and I are doing, it's more about the future of dentistry, helping shape the future, helping guide the future, helping to get dentistry where it needs to be. And so you have a similar mission. It may not be specifically with mobile delivery of care or virtual care, but give us the lowdown on what you're about.
Sure. So, I have spent probably the last 8 to 10 years working really hard in organized dentistry. And I'll tell you, I was one of those people that wasn't involved in ASDA, which is the American Student Dental Association, in dental school, because all I was really concerned with was, frankly, not getting thrown out. So there was I didn't really have any precedents. I didn't really know kind of what was going on in the world of organized dentistry. And my intro was actually by my father, who I'm lucky enough to be able to work with. And he heard of a local opening on the new dentist committee here in Westchester County, New York, where we practice, and gave them my name. So I get a phone call the next day, and they were asking where I wanted my next meeting to be. And I was like, what? I didn't sign up for anything. And that was 8 odd years ago, and I've sort of never looked back. So, I got to do a lot of work locally. I got to do a lot of work in my state, in New York State. And now I am on an ADA council. And so I've gotten to kind of see the world of organized dentistry and dentistry in general on a national level. And that is kind of where I am at with my experience there.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So tell me this, how is organized dentistry? I mean, we all have our opinions, right? For better, for worse. We know that without the ADA, without the ADHA, without our professional associations, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Correct.
So what is your role as a progressive, as a millennial, as a woman in this kind of environment? What is your role?
So, aside from, I don't want to run through my full CV, but I will tell you that my kind of mission is to make the world of organized dentistry more reflective of what dentistry actually looks like today. And, what does that mean, right? That means we talk about a lot of things like diversity, we talk about inclusiveness, and we know that those things aren't just limited to age or to race or to sex. But the future of dentistry is only as strong as we can secure it. And we can only do that by working with our predecessors and our successors. And that bridging that gap and building that connection is what takes time and effort. sort of across all levels of organized dentistry. And I think that there's progress, but progress takes time, and change is scary and change is hard. So that's sort of what our mission is, and that's what we work at kind of across the spectrum of things.
That's good. So, Doc, do you see over your 8 years of tender, have you seen a significant change, especially in the last 2 years, or would you say it's standing still? Would you say everything that's happened has propelled it forward? Where do you see it being at right now?
So I think, look, I'll tell you that we've got some really determined, motivated, strong, bright people coming out of dental school that are ready to sort of get to work, not just in private practice or in academia or wherever they choose to actually practice dentistry, but also in securing the future of our profession. And so, we're seeing a lot of sort of movers and shakers that want to get involved because they see that their actions are actually going somewhere and it's not just talk. One of the big things that came out of the shutdown, frankly, is that we had a model of a kind of virtual or simulation based licensing exam that was floating around for a while. And one of the things that happened because of COVID is that was the kind of impetus to push that into reality. And so state boards are now accepting a non-patient based exam in lieu of what you used to have to do, which is find the class 2 and find the class 3 and pray the patient shows up. And really the driver for that was the pandemic, but the groundwork had already been laid. And that's just one of one little piece of the puzzle of how things are sort of changing in the last couple of years.
That's amazing. So a glimmer of light did come out of the pandemic for a lot of things. Yeah, that's good.
Yep, definitely.
What I like about what you said just a couple of minutes ago was that, I don't know exactly how you said it, but change is a result of bridging the gap between those who are already, practicing or in a movement and what's to come. And I think so many times, whether it's inside of dentistry or outside of dentistry, when we're looking to change something, we end up maybe isolating ourselves and saying, let's do this, instead of working with the system that's already in place and acknowledging that there is a system and that, we can have these conversations and dialogue. So I love that you are who you are and you are working with organized dentistry. And I think that's a lesson that we can all take, whether we're hygienists, whether we're practice owners, whether we're dentists, whether, we're coming in as a brand from outside of dentistry. It's this dialogue and this acknowledging that this system already is in place and then working together to see how we can change it. So what do you see as the future of dentistry? If there was maybe one thing that you would say is going to look different in dentistry, 5 years from now than it does now, we've got the licensing exams changed. What do you see would be that top differentiator between 5 years from now and now?
I think that leadership in dentistry, and whether that's, larger group practices, whether that's organized dentistry, whether that's in academia, whatever it is, I think you're going to start to see leadership become more reflective of what the landscape of dentistry is actually looking like. And I think that's a result of the fact that this was a time where everyone had to come together, and there was no differentiation between you've been practicing 60 years, I've been practicing 5 years, you're out 10 years. Everyone was affected by this pandemic in one way or another. Some of us obviously had the resources to kind of handle it better than others. But I think in some ways it was kind of a great equalizer. And I see that the leadership of dentistry across the spectrum is going to start to change. And it already has. And we see that, which is great. But, one of the best things about our profession is, frankly, that it did not go the way of medicine. One of the reasons it didn't go the way of medicine is because of the organized dentistry associations, the ADA, the ADHA, and everyone else that has such a strong voice and presence, especially in Washington. And we can't kind of talk about the ADA without talking about our PAC, which is one of the strongest healthcare lobbies that exists down in Washington, and our staff and lobbyists do an amazing job. And so, I think when you start to stitch all of that together, you're looking at a profession that hopefully continues to stay as strong as it has, and resists the outside challenges, of which there are many. But the only way we get there is by bridging the gap, working better together, and frankly, allowing more people into positions of leadership that reflect what dentistry actually looks like today.
Wow. Now that was powerful. That I love that. Allow more people in leadership that reflects the real face of dentistry. Now that's a drop your mic right there.
I have one in the office. I don't want to drop my lids.
That's amazing. You know, because Melissa and I, we have all, since we've been doing the Dentistry Gone Wild and mobile and
Mhm.
teledentistry conference, we've always talked about how dentistry looks different,
Right.
how it's a different face, how it's a different look.
Mhm.
And we go totally against the storm, against the river as far as how that looks, because I have to plug in mobile dentistry here. Mobile dentistry does not look like traditional dentistry. It's a
Right.
it's a whole different look. So even to
Yeah.
even be in mobile dentistry, you have to kind of be outside of that thinking box. You have to kind of break that mold that
Mhm.
dentistry has been in for so long. So
Mhm.
I'm glad that faces and voices and passions like yours are in positions of leadership that can help navigate that change in our profession that all three of us love so dearly. If not, we wouldn't be here, right, Em?
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And I feel like dentistry is a powerful organization. And even outside of America, as we start to experience dentistry in in other countries, in Canada and Australia and the UK, it's a very powerful thing.
Mhm.
And so I'm excited to see, what we can do in the future of this, the lives that we can change, whether we're changing dental professionals' lives or our patients' lives, or even the trajectory of entire communities. I mean,
Right.
we can do that as organized dentistry. So
Mhm.
thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you
So
for having
just
me.
just to clarify, so you're practicing right now in New York, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you own a practice? Do you work? What type of?
Yeah, sure. So we have a few offices scattered around Westchester County, New York, which for anyone watching or listening that doesn't know New York, it's about 30 miles straight north of New York City. I am blessed and fortunate enough to be able to work with my father. He is an endodontist. I'm a general dentist, and then we have a group of docs, specialists and general dentists that work with us, and we all kind of rotate around our offices. He's been in practice, God, almost 40 years. I've been out 10. I've been practicing 9 because I had to do a GPR. But it's an interesting perspective from a kind of practice owner and someone that sees the business of dentistry, someone that practices dentistry, and then someone that's involved in organized dentistry, because I kind of get the entire spectrum of what things are like. And I got to tell you, it's a difficult world out there. The new graduates that are coming out, dentistry looks very different than it did 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. The opportunities that are available are different. The expectations are different, and it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult.
Wow.
So
Yeah, that's one of the things that Sonya and I always talk about, the overhead, the cost
yep,
that you come out with the debt and then the overhead of a
it's
practice and
crazy.
things like that. That's one of the reasons why we're championing mobile dentistry, because it can have decreased overhead from the start, and it would
Right.
allow, you guys, to practice owners, to just start a different trajectory instead of completely in debt. So just one last question before you have to go,
Sure.
but do you see either teledentistry, virtual care, or do you see healthcare delivery as a significant part of dentistry in the future?
Yeah, I do. And I think, it's all about accessibility, right? Accessibility and portability. And listen, it's not always the easiest to get patients in to get care, depending on where you are geographically, depending on what their physical limitations may be. We have lots of patients that it's a challenge to schedule appointments. And we're in Metro New York City. And it's because, they are dependent on someone else, or because they physically can't get to us. And they're coming from hours and hours away. And again, I'm 45 minutes from New York City. So to hear me say that means that what's going on in the rest of the country is probably significantly worse. So yeah, I think that there's obviously some tweaking that needs to be done in terms of healthcare delivery models that include teledentistry. Obviously, we got a little taste of that because we had to, because of COVID. But I think to ignore that whole part of dentistry is to be myopic. And one of the things I always like to tell dental students and residents is that dentists are great at being myopic. We love missing the forest for the trees, and we can't see. We just can't see, and it's a problem that I see as kind of becoming endemic in our profession. And so to sort of ignore that type of healthcare delivery, I think, would be very myopic. And I have realized that, especially over the last 15 months of this pandemic journey.
Thank you. Well, Doc, thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for
Yeah.
being on our show. Melissa, did you have anything else? Or Doc, did you have anything else you wanted to close with for our audience?
No, For anyone that's watching that's maybe, a dental student or a resident or a new dentist and isn't necessarily 100% sure of what path you want to take, or, what your journey looks like, there is help available to you. There are amazing mentors and people that kind of walk this path before you that are willing to kind of grab your hand and walk it with you a little bit. I'm happy to share my contact information. If that's okay, if anyone wants to
It
reach
is.
out
Go
to me,
ahead.
I'm
Go
always
ahead.
happy
Go
to
ahead.
talk. The best way to get in touch with me is probably via email. I did keep my dental school email address because $400,000 later, I decided I was going to keep it. And so,
Amen. Yes, yes.
yep. And so my email address is the first four letters of my first name, A, M like Mary, R like Ray, I, my full last name, which is Patel at nyu.edu. So feel free to reach out. I am always just an email away.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you all. Thank you, audience, for listening. Thank you for being a part of our show today. If you like this video, click like and share, and please subscribe to Dentistry Gone Wild. Thank you. Until next Monday. Bye.
Next week.